Great, thanks, Patty. So next up, we'll be having another fireside chat between Sean Roosen, founder, chair, and CEO of Osisko Development Corporation, with Matt Gordon of Crux Investor. Osisko Development is a precious metal development company focused on past-producing mining camps with district-scale potential in mining-friendly jurisdictions. And the company is currently focused on advancing their 100% owned Caribou gold project located in central British Columbia. So with that, please welcome Sean and Matt to the stage.
Yes. Here we are again.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody in the room for sticking around.
It was full before we arrived.
Yeah.
So, right. Good to see you again, Sean. Good to see you again.
Yeah,
we're going to talk Osisko Development. Caribou, April, you put out an economic study. You want to give us the headline numbers?
Sure. So ODV on the New York Stock Exchange, ODV on the TSX Venture. We published our updated feasibility study here in May. Headline numbers were an NPV of $930 billion at $2,400 gold. At current gold prices, about $2 billion NPV. It's a development project that's fully permitted. So one of the distinctions today that I'd like to get into is that the rarity of a permitted asset in Canada right now that's shovel ready. There are only two. So we received our permits in November of 2024, and we are underway for project financing and mine construction at an FID coming up here this summer. So hopefully this will be Canada's next gold mine. Internal rate of return at the $2,400 gold is about 24%, and at current spot price is about 34%. In terms of the size of the project, we're at 2 million ounces of reserves, another 1.6 million ounces of measured and indicated, and another 1.78 million ounces of inferred. So quite a large deposit in a very, very shallow area. It's only down to 350 meters, and it's spread out over 4.4 kilometers of strike length. However, adjacent to that, we also have another 10 kilometers of drilled off deposit that's not drilled to the level of resource at this point in time, and significant advantages at depth. We've drilled down to 1,000 meters, but we've only defined the resource down to 350, so there's quite a bit to go here. We believe this is a mining camp. It'll come online at about 200,000 ounces a year, and hopefully we'll be able to scale it from there. We've come out with a design that we believe can go to 15 to 20,000 tons a day, but we've permitted at 4,950 tons a day because of C69, which kept us out of a federal EA certificate, and we were able to permit within 4 years and 10 months. So shout out to the BC government for having gotten that permit approved. It is the most recent permit that was issued in British Columbia and in Canada.
So we've got a mine on top of a mine potentially. We'll talk about that in a minute. 2 years ago, building a mine of this size with the capex that it's got, it kind of looked like less favorable times with gold price as it is now. Is this why you build for cycles?
Absolutely. I mean, I'd like to say that I called this one, but you know, we're enjoying right now about an AISC of about $1,150. So we would be making $2,000 an ounce today on this project if it was in production right now, which would give us a revenue of about an aftermarket gross profit of about $460 million a year at current spot prices. So these are very important assets that you had to have the vision to stay on them during the down cycle when the margins were lower, the internal rate of return was lower, and the NPVs were much lower. We did the 2023 feasibility, was done at $1,750 gold. We had an internal rate of return of just over 20%.
Right. Okay. So, and you've explained the numbers, so and I don't necessarily want this to be a conversation about can you build mines, but will you build a mine?
Well, certainly that's been my track record. You know, Canadian Malartic is either Canada's largest gold mine or second largest gold mine, depending on what's happening between Canadian Malartic and Detour. That asset has gone on to be very significant for Agnico and is one of the core assets of Agnico now, which is a $75 billion market cap. We sold that asset in 2014 for $4.1 billion. Out of that, we built Osisko Royalties, which is now OR Royalties, which is now a $6.5 billion company. We also spawned Osisko Mining 2, which John Brzezinski led, and they just sold to Goldfields for $2.2 billion. And all that came off the fact that we built Canadian Malartic. We found it, we built it, we commissioned it. And when we sold it, we were only 200,000 ounces a year less production than Agnico, which has gone on to be the highest market cap of all the gold companies in the space. So we know what it looks like when you're on a big asset. This is a big asset. So we're here to build it. And there's an old saying that if you build something to sell it, you'll own it forever. And if you build something to own it, you'll sell it. So my track record is that we get shareholders paid one way or the other. But my belief is if I'm going to get you guys paid, which I think we can do here, we have to build it and show everybody that it works, just like Canadian Malartic. There was a lot of doubters on Canadian Malartic, and now it's, everybody says, oh, I know it's a great asset. It accounts for more than $20 billion of the Agnico market cap now. But when we built that asset, we couldn't get any financing in either Quebec or Ontario for it. Raised all the money in Europe and in the US because everybody knew that it wouldn't work. This is a very similar story. There's been some dogma about this project by previous history of it. We've gone in and drilled 700,000 meters. We're underground now. We have 1,200 meters of underground development into it, so we're actually in the mining cycle right now. Some would say early construction. So we're big believers in this system. We've tracked this thing over 83 kilometers of mineralized corridor. We figured out the geological model in 2021, 2022. And I've referred to the summer of 2025 as the catch and release program, where now that we're accessing the ore body underground, we'll be bringing people through so that everybody can get a look at it and understand what this is. But this is a very important project in the gold sector from a geological standpoint. It's in the Jurassic Age rocks, so it doesn't fit the standard Canadian Archean model. So we've got some education to do on this asset. But I think that, when we look around at how this thing stacks up against, who's who in the zoo in the development assets, this thing is in the top 5. And my belief is that this will end up being a top 20 gold mine in the world within the next 3 to 5 years, or at least have the work done to prove that it is.
Who are you educating? Because obviously industry players will understand this as much as you do. Each talking about the market needs to understand this to kind of get that share price moving?
Yeah, I think, we've got an education process to do in terms of what the value proposition is. Company's trading at about $2.70 a share, so about a 350 million Canadian market cap. We believe that this is a competitor and it should be, we think that the feasibility, we have 200,000 ounce year production, so the destination, the GPS, is to try and get a similar valuation to somebody like Wesdome, which is about a $2 billion market cap. But also, this project has the ability to track something like a G Mining, where you get the first 200,000 ounce of production built, and then the next mine is actually next to this one. It's actually going to use the same infrastructure, and then we can scale from there. So that's the goal. And G Mining has gone from about a $350 million market cap pre-construction to about $4.5 billion. So that's our goal. That's why we're passionate about it. That's why we're working 100 hours a week to make this happen, is because we do think that we're definitely on the win again. As a group, we've been on several big projects, including Canadian Malartic, the Hammer Reef project, the Upper Beaver project, the Windfall Lake project, now the Gas Bay project. So we've seen success as a group. We know what it looks like, and we know what you have to do to unlock that value, and that's exactly the point that we're at now. We're at the inflection point.
So that inflection, I was speaking with Luke Gignac last week, and he was talking about firms that build in paper and build in reality being two very different beasts, and you've got to kind of build the teams fit for purpose. It sounds like you've very much focused on getting this thing built yourselves, but your track record suggests that you're quite good at making sure you don't really want to rush to that point. It
depends on the asset, and it depends on the market that you're in. Certainly Canadian Malartic, I made the mistake of putting together a PowerPoint in the fall of 2013 called The Pursuit of Boredom. All we're going to do is make gold. And I was in a hostile takeover from Gold Corp 2 weeks later, which we got a bid at $2.2 billion. We ended up settling at $4.1 billion, and we created what became Osisko Gold Royalties as the SpinCo. So that entire transaction has now resulted in over $13 billion of shareholder value creation. So, you know, taking the lessons learned, we know when we're on a big project, this is a big project, and now we have to get shareholders paid.
Not a lot of competition. A bit easier, isn't it?
We know our way around a bit. We're not as likely to run into the furniture the way we did the first couple of times. So hopefully, you know, we can take that wisdom and translate it into shareholder value here for the next, you know, sort of 12 to 18 months as we kind of transition through the construction period. A lot of risk off on this project. You know, we achieved permitting in November of last year for 5,000 tons a day, which again, the only reason we went for 5,000 tons a day was to stay out of the C-69 Justin Trudeau permitting process. Otherwise, I would have permitted for a much bigger project. But we didn't want to do that. We just want to get going, and there's no way to build an underground mine that switches on at 20,000 tons a day anyways. You have to ramp up to it. So we thought that this was the path of least resistance. So I think we called it right. We got the permit in less than 5 years, which right now the average in Canada is 14 years, and industry-wise is 16 years. You know, so being in that elite group at a time when gold price is ripping with a permit in hand, I think this is a very special opportunity, and you know, hopefully shareholders will get a chance to look at that and participate in that as we kind of march forward here. So I think this is the moment in sports history where, you know, it kind of feels like an 09 to me. We went through the financial crisis in 08 and everything was crap, and then we built Canadian Malartic in 09 and commissioned it in 2011, and the rest is history, right? We built a huge franchise off the back of that one asset.
Hopefully not everything repeats. I know what happened after 09. But so like timing really is important in this game. Hitting the cycle right, being able to transact at the right time is important for you guys.
Yeah, we've had access to capital in a way that a lot of groups haven't. We raised $140 million last year to keep the pace going. When a lot of junior developers couldn't raise money, we were quite fortunate. We had access to capital. A lot of that was based on our track record, and you know, the belief of the old sort of traditional shareholder institutional side, but also a belief from retail shareholders that came out in a way that we hadn't seen. We had over 1,400 retail high wealth individuals worldwide participate in a $32 million US franchise. So there's quite an interesting shareholder base in this company. We are New York listed on the NYSE under ODV. So the company has a slightly different flavor to it than the standard TSX listing.
Right, and we should probably skip on to the rest of the portfolio as well. I know you're not focused on that. You've got to get the job in hand done, but maybe just tell us a little bit about what you hope will happen there.
So we have a project in Utah called the Tintic project, which is the old Kennecott ground south of Bingham. So we're 40 miles south of Bingham, and we're in exactly the same age rocks. And it was Dr. Dick Silito who gave us this project as an acquisition target back in 2010. We acquired it in 2022. So it took us a little while. We're not that fast at M&A. But it's quite an interesting place. It has a big graben. Robert Friedland's Ivanhoe Electric is drilling to our southwest, and Freeport is drilling to our south. We have 23 previous producers on this, 5 gold mines and 18 silver, lead, zinc mines. Why we're there is we're actually chasing a Bingham-style porphyry at depth. There's 2 giant lithocaps on it, so it is a bit of a science project on the bigger scale. However, the high-grade mines, the 5 of them, the best one was 45 grams a ton, and Trixie, where we're working right now, was 8 to 14 grams a ton. So there's 27 kilometers of high-grade mineralization, gold mineralization along that eastern graben. So we're just getting into the exploration work. Now we finished the compilation, so that's in our background. Utah right now is rated the #1 jurisdiction worldwide for mining investment, and certainly I have to say it's the most welcoming government for mining that I've ever worked with. Certainly, you know, the governor shows up and says, "What can we do to help you guys?" And he brings his whole entourage to your site.
Yeah.
So it's quite an interesting place.
We're running out of time, but I did want to get this one in, which is I glibly refer to, you know, 2012, 13 was interesting times for the market. And as a reminder, you know, I think we've all lived through a few cycles. What are your thoughts on the market now? Is it any different? Should we have cause for more optimism of a sustained gold price?
Well, I think, you know, in terms of the gold price, the U.S. is devaluing the U.S. dollar from now till the next election cycle. Trump and his guys cannot afford a strong U.S. dollar while they're trying to build the economy up and get jobs in and prepare for the next election. So I don't think the gold price has any fundamentals other than the U.S. dollar is going to be devalued because they need to get things going and pay their deficit. So that's kind of the overriding factor from where I sit. I mean, there's all kinds of geopolitical factors that feed into it. From the mining cycle, we've seen the royalty companies and the producers just absolutely ripping. It hasn't really come down market to the developers and the explorers yet, but we're seeing signs that that is happening as we speak, especially with things like what happened this weekend. People are trying to find other ways to leverage into gold. We're also seeing a couple of things that I think are interesting. We're seeing the crypto world focusing on real world assets. So there's the RWAs, as they call them, the tokens, that are starting to purchase real world assets. So that whole, I think it's $11.8 trillion of cryptocurrency right now is feeling a little fragile in the current domain. And I think there's a good chance that they do come into the metal space with some of those different products. We're certainly seeing, tokens like PAW and stuff that were started out there with like $10 million tokens. They're now worth $1 billion. So we're seeing that kind of investment come at us from a different angle than what I've seen in the past.
I shall say this year brings us, Sean, good to see you again, and well done with the Caribou project.
Thanks, everybody, and good luck with your investments.